Good morning. Today we're going to be talking about the distributive property. Okay, this is basically level 1. We're just going to talk about the basics, and then there's going to be a few videos after this that kind of get a little bit more involved with the distributive property. So, for number 1, we have 3 parentheses x plus 4. So the distributive property is the idea that you can multiply a term in front of the parentheses to every single term inside the parentheses. So, the 3 is what is the term in front of the parentheses, and we are going to multiply the 3 to every term inside. So if we take a look, there are 2 terms. X is one term, and then positive 4 is the next term. You always want to take the sign with it, because that's going to be important when we're multiplying negatives. So we're going to take 3, multiply it to x. 3 times x is 3x. And then we go back to 3 and have to multiply him to the positive 4. So 3 times a positive 4 is a positive 12. So you're going to need the sign here. A very common mistake that students make is they just write 12 and say, oh, I don't need the positive sign because we can make the positive disappear. Not in this case, because that sign is very important in between 2 terms. It represents that I'm going to be adding the 2 terms. So if your sign were negative, then I would be subtracting these 2. So it's very important to make sure you include that positive sign when you are doing distributive property. For the next example, we have a negative 2 in front of the parentheses, so that's what I'm going to be multiplying to each term inside. So x is one term, and negative 5 is my second term, so I'm going to multiply to both. Negative 2 times x is negative 2x, and then negative 2 times a negative 5 is a positive 10. Okay? So let's take a look at number 3. Once again, we also have a negative here. So we have negative 4 being multiplied to 2x and a positive 6. Negative 4 times 2x is negative 8x. You're just going to multiply the numbers and attach your variable because x times negative 4 is still negative 4x, but then we also have to multiply by 2, so that's how we get negative 8. Negative 4 times 6 is negative 24. Okay, and number 4, again, 2 is going to be multiplied to 3x squared, negative 6x, and positive 1. So distributive property can look like this as well. It doesn't always have to be one term times 2. Here we have 1 times 3 terms, because I have to multiply to every one in the parentheses. So 2 times 3x squared is 6x squared. 2 times negative 6x is negative 12x. And 2 times 1 is a positive 2. Finally, we have an example like number 5. So we don't just have a number in front of the parentheses, we actually have a number and a variable. And then we're going to multiply to 3x squared and 4x. So it's very important to remember that when you are multiplying bases that are the same, you can add their exponents. So for example, if I have x times x, that's going to be x squared. X squared times x is going to be x to the third. Because remember, x's have invisible 1 exponent. So technically this represents x times x times x, which is x to the third. So for this first example, for number 5 rather, we have negative 2x times 3x squared. So focus on the numbers first. Negative 2 times 3 is negative 6. Then we have x times x squared, which we already talked about up here, is x to the third. Then we have negative 2x times 4x. So negative 2 times positive 4 is negative 8, and then x times x is x squared. And that's all. Hope you enjoyed distributive property. Bye.